What if I told you the biggest threat to Donald Trump right now isn't Democrats, the media, or even foreign enemies, but chaos inside his own camp? Because behind the scenes in Washington, something explosive is brewing. Reports suggest Trump has been increasingly frustrated. Some insiders even say furious with his own defense secretary, Pete Hegseth. And this isn't just personality clashes or media drama. This is happening in the middle of a high-stakes geopolitical moment, tied directly to war messaging, military decisions, and most importantly, the upcoming midterm elections. And just when things couldn't get worse, one of Trump's most loyal allies, Joe Kent, suddenly walks away. Not quietly, but in a way that sends shockwaves through the entire Republican base. So what's really going on here? And why could this internal conflict decide the future of American politics? Let's start with the tension itself. Donald Trump has always been known for demanding loyalty, absolute loyalty. His political machine runs on it. From cabinet members to campaign surrogates, everyone in Trump's orbit understands one thing: stay aligned, stay disciplined, and most importantly, don't contradict the narrative. But Pete Hegseth isn't a traditional defense secretary. He comes from a media background, known for aggressive commentary, strong opinions, and a style that thrives in television debates, but doesn't always translate smoothly into high-pressure Pentagon briefings. And that's where the cracks start to show. Because during recent briefings related to the Iran conflict, Hegseth's messaging reportedly created confusion. Confusion about strategy, about escalation, and about America's long-term goals. And in politics, especially during an election cycle, confusion is dangerous. Trump doesn't just want results, he wants control over the narrative. Every statement, every press conference, every headline, it all needs to align with a broader strategy. But when messaging becomes unpredictable, it doesn't just create media backlash, it creates political risk. And insiders suggest that's exactly what's been happening. Now here's where things get even more serious. This tension isn't happening in isolation. It's happening right before midterm elections. They're not just a referendum on policies, they're a referendum on leadership. And for Donald Trump, this is more than just another election cycle. It's about proving that his influence over the Republican Party is still absolute, that his endorsements still matter, that his base is still unified. But unity becomes very fragile when cracks start appearing at the top. And then comes the moment that changes everything. Joe Kent, a name that might not dominate headlines every day, but inside Trump's political ecosystem, he's a significant figure. A loyalist, a believer in the America First doctrine, someone who has consistently aligned himself with Trump's vision. And suddenly, he resigns. But this isn't just a personal decision or a quiet exit. This is a statement, a signal, because Kent doesn't just step away, he openly challenges the direction of the Iran conflict. And that's the turning point. Because when someone like Kent speaks out, it hits differently. This isn't opposition coming from Democrats. This isn't criticism from the media. This is internal dissent. And internal dissent is far more dangerous, because it weakens the core narrative of unity. Kent's argument is simple but powerful. The current war direction doesn't align with America First. And that phrase, America First, is the foundation of Trump's entire political identity. So when that gets questioned from within, it creates doubt. And doubt spreads fast. Now connect all the dots. You have a frustrated Donald Trump dealing with messaging issues from Pete Hegseth. You have a loyal insider like Joe Kent walking away and challenging policy decisions. And all of this is happening just months before voters head to the polls. This isn't just political drama. This is a strategic nightmare. Because elections are not won only on policy. They're won on perception. And right now, the perception risks shifting from strong leadership to internal chaos. And if that narrative sticks, it gives Democrats something they've been struggling to find: a powerful talking point. Not just that they disagree with Trump, but that even Trump's own allies are starting to disagree with him. But here's where it gets even more complicated. Donald Trump isn't stepping back. In fact, he's doubling down, pushing aggressive policies, including strict voter ID laws and election reforms that he claims could reshape the system for decades. His strategy is clear: energize the base, control the narrative, and dominate the conversation. But the question is, can that strategy survive internal fractures? Because voter behavior is unpredictable. Trump's base is loyal, but it's also driven by belief. And when figures like Joe Kent start questioning core decisions, it creates hesitation. Maybe not enough to flick votes, but enough to impact turnout. And in midterms, turnout is everything. Now think about the bigger picture. This isn't just about one resignation or one disagreement. This is about the future of the Republican Party itself. Is it still a unified movement under Donald Trump? Or is it starting to fragment into different factions, some fully aligned with Trump, others questioning certain decisions, especially when it comes to foreign policy and military engagement? Because historically, internal divisions have cost parties elections. Not always immediately, but over time. Small cracks become larger fractures. Disagreements turn into competing narratives. And before you know it, the focus shifts from defeating the opposition to managing internal conflict. And here's the twist most people aren't paying attention to. Pete Hegseth isn't just a random figure in this story. He represents a broader shift, bringing media-style communication into government leadership. And while that works in campaigns, governance is different. The margin for error is smaller, the stakes are higher, and every word carries consequences. So when messaging misfires happen, they don't just create headlines, they create strategic vulnerabilities. And vulnerabilities in politics get exploited. So now the real question becomes, what happens next? Does Donald Trump rein in the messaging, reassert control, and restore unity before the midterms? Or does this tension continue to grow, leading to more resignations, more disagreements, and potentially a deeper divide within his own movement? Because if more figures follow the path of Joe Kent, this could turn from a moment of tension into a full-blown internal crisis. And that's the scenario political strategists fear the most: not losing to the opposition, but losing control from within. And don't forget, the timing of all this is critical. Midterms aren't far away. Campaigns are already in motion. Narratives are already forming. And once a narrative sets in, it's incredibly hard to change. Right now, the narrative is still being written. It could go either way: strong leadership under pressure, or a movement starting to fracture. So as we move closer to Election Day, watch these signals carefully. Watch how Donald Trump responds. Watch whether Pete Hegseth changes his approach. And most importantly, watch if more insiders start speaking out like Joe Kent. Because sometimes, the most important political battles aren't fought on debate stages or campaign trails. They're fought behind closed doors. And right now, that hidden battle might be the one that decides